Hello, beautiful souls. How are you on this wonderful day? It is Thursday, the 13th of November. It's almost 4 o'clock. And I want to do another one of my kinesiology sessions just for you. With my clients for the last week, again, I pick up a sort of a common vibe and I want to provide a message, a response around that topic to everyone who chooses to listen. And there will be healing here and awareness, acceptance, better recognition of hopefully what's going on for you. So, what I want to do today is look at healing. And we're looking at healing on the mind, on the body, on the soul. And also, together with those three things, we're looking at the emotions. So, the emotional healing. I want to look at what's blocking that. Why is that not innate and natural? Why do we all not heal beautifully and fully? And what's the key things that we need to do to improve and enhance our healing overall? So I've already started to do a little bit of testing because I want to get a flavor and an idea of what's coming up. Well, a whole lot of stuff has come up, of course. And I've actually even done a bit of writing. It's almost like intuitive writing. As I started, there was a whole lot of stuff just kept coming. So I will be reading some of that and also testing into other things. But there's some beautiful messages here. So I hope you enjoy it. So, get a cup of tea, put your feet up, do whatever you need to do. I'll try not to make it too long, but I hope you enjoyed. So here we go, healing. So our healing really should be innate. Our body has an incredible capacity to heal. You know, the body can heal from wounds, from cuts, from surgery, from trauma, from accidents. We've seen amazing physical healing in so many people. We've all seen that. Healing emotionally is probably in some ways more challenging because of the state of our mental health. And I do think that emotional healing is what's causing our mental health crisis. But that's probably another whole video. But I want to help to enable people to do that much easier, more efficiently. And we'll touch on that a little bit today. There's also the mental health, how we think, why we think the way we think, and the effect that our thoughts have on the body and on the emotions. And then the last aspect of that is healing on our soul level. And I think really very few of us go into that area, and we don't do a lot of soul healing. That's really coming into your heart. And when it comes to soul, what I often say to people is, most people, when you question them, do you have a soul? And you understand the concept of having a soul, almost everybody, in fact, everybody who has ever come in and laid on my bed will always say, yes, I have a soul, but we don't know much about it. We don't connect to it and we don't value it and we don't bring it into our everyday. It isn't something we've been educated in. It isn't something that we've been encouraged to strengthen and connect with. And I'm going to go into that a little bit too. So what's come up so far? Let's get the glasses on and get into it. When we do kinesiology, it's very much an integrative approach. We look at, as I said, the mind, the body, the emotions, and the soul. And we need to look, we are a whole human being. And I guess that's where holistic therapy and holistic medicine comes from. But you can't have one aspect without the other. But we want to look at if it's so natural. And if we could integrate all the aspects of who we are, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, then what is blocking our healing? And that's really what I want to dive into today. So I sat with that a bit, and what came up was we need harmony. And harmony in our energetic body, harmony of the mind, harmony in the body, and harmony with our soul is very important. And to me, the harmony equates to the homeostasis of the body. So if our mind is agitated and our emotions are blocked, then it will affect your nervous system and your endocrine system and really all of your systems in the body. and they will become dysfunctional, reactive, and they are not in homeostasis. So, homeostasis is the feedback loops within the body, within all the organs, within your nervous system, and within your glandular system, all your hormones that help to keep your body regulated and in harmony. So, stress is going to throw that all out. We need to be in that positive aspect with ourselves, within alignment. And if we are in a defense pattern, if we are in fear, if we are in shock, then we are agitating ourselves, we are blocked, and we will be living from the fight flight process. So, fight flight is the part of the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, that tries to support you while you're in fight and flight or in shock or dread or fear or something like that. And it's trying to help you to survive, but you're in that fight, flight, survival mode. If you're in that mode, you are not healing. You must be in the rest and digest side. It's the parasympathetic component of your nervous system. When you're in fight and flight, you are in defense mode. You're in, as I said, fight and flight, and you are trying to survive. So everything is reacting, everything's panicking. You're putting your survival as the paramount purpose of your body. And that's just dread. You know, you're not going to heal from there. That's why it's so important to get into that rest and digest part of the body in order to heal. So when we can connect into the messages that are coming from your body, then you will start to get hints and ideas of just how much dysfunction, how much disharmony are we in. So I've done loads of posts on this on my Facebook and Instagram. I love using the acronym of PAIN to explain that our pain is a message from our body telling us that we are dysregulated, we are in disharmony, we are not in harmony with ourselves. So my little acronym is for pain is PAIN. It's pay attention. I'll use these words. Pay these words, these fingers. Pay attention to your internal messages. Now, nervous system, I think it is. Pay attention to your internal messages. Internal neurology. I'm going to go with neurology today. I know I had a great word for that, but it's telling you where something is going awry, and we need to pay attention to it. But what does most typical medicine, the most typical medical approach, and I'm not knocking medicine, we need to have it, but can we please not just suppress the messages? And that's what we're doing. If I have a raging headache and I'm in a lot of pain, I'm not going to be able to think and function properly. So I'm going to want to get rid of the pain. So I'll probably go and take some painkillers. But then I also need to come back to try and get some understanding from the body that there's something not right and something is out of whack. So we need to look at why was that message required? So I need to have a look at, am I dehydrated? Am I thinking too much? Am I looking at the screen too much? Did I not sleep well last night? And look for the patterns behind the messages. I would love for everyone to get that one. Okay, so pay attention to your the internal needs. That was it. Pay attention to your internal needs. What is your body trying to tell you that you need? Thank you, memory. So what we've got to go deeper and look at where are those more background stresses coming from. And in my work, and I guess it's why I got into kinesiology in the first place, I always wanted to know why. I'm a why learner. Why is that happening? Why would I do that? Why would I get a headache? Why would I get diabetes? Why am I not sleeping? Why is my digestion system not working? So instead of taking away the symptoms, we need to understand what's going on in the background. And in alternative therapy, we call that getting to the root cause. And if you don't get to the root cause, then you're never going to get to the real deeper message behind your struggles and your suffering. And I mean that word intentionally, your suffering. So we need to come back into harmonizing and restoring the balance between the mind, the body, and the soul through our emotional harmony and expression. So when we can get an emotional balance, we can then go into a place of peace and love and connection. When I used to do the pillar code, they were the first three pillars. So peace, love, and connection. And you need that as a foundation to then boost and start your healing from there. And our connection is so important. And I've written something about this here. Why is connection so important? Let me go back first to peace and love, because the thing that's going to put you out of harmony and balance more than anything else is your fear. And there's an acronym for fear that we learned in the early days of kinesiology. Fear, another four-word acronym, is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. So when we fear that something's going to happen, and most fears are in the future, because we're anticipating what might happen, your brain is on alert to safeguard you from the negative, or I should say the potential negative, because those most of the things that we fear don't ever happen. We're just worrying about them, imagining something in the future and putting a negative projection onto that. That's what worry is, plain and simple, right? So to me, almost the deepest fundamental fear that we have is feeling that we don't belong, and a fear of being alone and rejected. All of that wrapped in one. A fear that I do not belong in my family, in my community, in my work, and the constant fear of rejection and being exiled or extricated from your community, because right in the base chakra, that's going to destroy your foundation and you will end up not being safe. And your conscious, your subconscious, and it goes into the unconscious. So why is connection so important? I wrote this lovely piece a little bit earlier, so indulge me while I read my own writing. Why is connection so important? We all naturally need to connect because fundamentally we are all one. This is why feeling alone is so incredibly debilitating. The fear of being alone is one of the deepest and most crippling fears that we have. In fact, this is generally why most people suicide. This is the core of our mental health, to feel isolated and alone, where there is no one that you can reach out to who you think loves you enough or is connected to you in such a way that makes you feel like you belong and that you have some worth. So belonging equals connection. We need to be in a tribe. We need to be with like-minded people, preferably. It certainly makes it so much easier. But here's the thing. If you don't like yourself, it's going to be very difficult to connect to others. Because if you're sitting in a belief that says, I don't want to be with me, that is, and I see this all the time, people's resistance to themselves, their self-judgment and their self-criticism. Most people cannot come inside and sit in peace and harmony with themselves. What I call, we are all externally orientated. We learned it in early childhood. It's all part of my early childhood trauma that's in my book, The Gift of Self-Worth, coming out very soon. But if we are unable to really go inside and be at peace with ourselves, we're sitting in a belief of, I don't want to be with me. Well, if I don't want to be with me, why on earth would you want to be with me? Why would anyone else want to be with me? There's that underlying fear of we are not enough and that we will be judged and we will be found wanting and we will be rejected. Okay. So, where's the solution? If the problem exists in the physical body and our physical connection and being here on the earth, then what I've come up with is we have to go to our spirit, to our higher divine connection, to find our true essence and our true worth. Because when you can connect to your soul, and we are all created in the image and likeness of God. Every life, whether you believe in God or not, whatever your orientation is, you've come from the universe, you know you have a soul, and that soul is divine, then you have, it immediately gives you worth. You can connect to your own essence, the true essence and the spark and the light of who you came here to be. Then you're able, hopefully a little bit easier anyway, you'll be able to love yourself with compassion. You came into this world as a beautiful divine soul. So that helps you to restore your value. Then you can love and connect with yourself. And as soon as you do that, you can love and connect with others because you've got the essence of compassion for yourself. And then you can bring compassion to others. So when we start to master that for ourselves, we can bring compassion to others and everyone that you meet every day. That's the solution. Okay, I believe. And all of that requires healing, healing the heart, healing our past, and healing it with compassion and love. When you connect with your soul, next four-letter acronym, the soul is your source of unconditional love. And that's the kind of love we all need, not something that's got conditions on it. I will love you with is not love. It is control, to quote the wonderful Louise Hay. So we must have self-love. Now, whether you connect with your soul or not, the other way to do it is self-acceptance. So when you're able to accept yourself, accept your journey, accept your challenges, accept your faults and, so-called faults and flaws, then you will have an easier path to do much better self-love and self-compassion. Okay. If we don't do that, so if we go down the wrong road, what I've got here, what a lot of us are doing, if we can't accept ourselves, we are judging ourselves, right? This is the bad road, right? Lack of self-acceptance, self-judgment creates the perception or the presupposition from my NLP days that you've done something wrong and therefore you will be judged and rejected by others. So what do? We conform to what we think other people want. We conform to other people's expectations of us. We conform to the norm in our families and in our community, whether they are right for us, whether they are true to us or not. So we compromise ourselves. We diminish who we are in order to keep the peace in the family, keep the peace in the community, and to make sure that we don't say something wrong in that environment, whatever situation you're in, at the family, the work, the community, so that you don't rock the boat and you keep the peace. But you end up squashing your own spark. What I've got here is when we go into groupthink, right? We conform to what everyone else is thinking. We lose our autonomy, we lose our uniqueness, and we lose our spark and our essence. We lose our own individuality. We have to come back to ourselves and learn how to love ourselves. So, how do we get back into ourselves and go down the right road? So, there's a couple of things coming up. One of them is that loss of connection to our soul and to our true essence. It's not something, as I said, that we have been encouraged to do. And we find fault with ourselves. When we are in the base chakra, this is where our survival occurs. It's very much on the physical level, it's on the material level, and we feel like we have to master the body and the family and our physical connections. And in that 3D material world. So because we're constantly in survival, we stay in that area. But what we have to do is to rise all the way up through the chakras and connect with the crown, bring down our higher self, bring down the soul, and bring down our spirit. So many people need to connect more to spirit so that you have a spirit, you have a motivation, you have a purpose, and you have passion in your life. And that comes from your heart, the seat of the soul. Okay. Because if you're stuck in the material world, it's like you're spinning and you're on that treadmill trying to get acceptance, trying to get external acceptance. But what we have to do is to come back inside and do that to ourselves. So being out of harmony is being in conflict, not trusting who we are, not trusting our own heart and our own intuition. We get when we give more power to the external, to other people's opinions, then we're constantly in the conflict of what's right and what's wrong. Because if you know that someone else's truth, that's their truth, is in conflict with your truth, that's going to cause a whole lot of conflict for you because you're trying to conform, but you know in your heart of hearts, you know in your gut that it isn't right for you. Okay. And we give our power away there because we think it's more important to keep everybody else happy, but that loses our own power. You lose your personal power when we do that. That's the sacrifice we make. And that causes friction in our relationships. It causes dysfunction in the body and it causes us to disconnect from our soul. And all our emotions are stuck in the negative. So we manifest the negative. Our thinking is negative. We have to come back to ourselves, connect to our true essence, really establish our self-worth and to go from there. Okay? So, uh, so some of the fears that came up, there's a fear of being unwelcome. So when I go somewhere or when I put a thought forward, when I express my opinion, that might be met with an unwelcome response. Fear of being judged and therefore a fear of being abandoned. So the message is very clear. The things that we could learn to do better, and this is all kind of coming from our soul. Number one, connect to your soul, your higher self, your essence, and your true worth. You are divine. You have come from God. The very point that you are here on this earth is a miracle from a physical point of view, from your conception, from your time in the womb, your ability for your cells to grow and the whole conception process in itself is just mind-blowing that it is so successful most of the time, or not most of the time but some of the time, right? You are a miracle. So we need to switch from thinking from fear to thinking from love. And again, we must start internally because there's so much fear out in the world. All the propaganda from everywhere you turn, there's chaos, and media, social media, the news, all that sort of stuff. Everywhere you go, you hear all the bad news and the drama in the world. So cut that off, come back into yourself, find your worth, find what you love, what you enjoy. Okay. Then you can step into your power because when you build that security and that acceptance in yourself, whoa, you just start to step into your personal power. That reduces your stress, your overwhelm, and all the chaos and the drama that you're living in. So I always say, come in and come down. Bring your soul down, get everything grounded. Okay, internal orientation. Come into myself, come into myself, come into myself. I can't say it enough. Self acceptance, the loss of judgment. Okay, unconditional love, compassion. Connected to your vine, then you see yourself and the world and everyone in it from a higher perspective. You can connect to the Christ consciousness, and Christ manifested compassion in everything that he did. Then you start with yourself and then you give it out to others. You can't give what you don't have. If you don't have self-love, you can't love others. And then you're connecting to people from a place of needing, and that's not going to be helpful. So there you go. One of the little things, and I'm going to post this separately, watch my socials and you'll see this. This is something I created a few years ago to help people connect to their own divinity. And as a healing remedy, I'm going to read that for you now. So I'll get another one here. This is one of one of my not my flower essences that I use. It's called the lotus flower remedy. So the lotus flower stimulates the crown chakra to open to divine inspiration and spiritual liberation. Your yearning for enlightenment is witnessed, honored, and fulfilled. The lotus flower remedy holds the key to spiritual liberation and freedom. Beautiful. I love it. So connect to your soul, connect to your divinity. That is your liberation and your freedom because it brings your worth and your value to you. Okay. If anyone needs any help with any of this stuff, if you're stuck, it, caught up in conflict in your relationships, in your family, conflict at work, you're feeling overwhelmed because there is so much going on at the moment. I did a video, my last video here was all about the 3-eye atlas, and it's bringing in all this powerful healing and a beautiful high vibration of compassion and love. So there's no better time than now to get into a healing vibration and a healing mode, and that means love and healing for self. So with that, I wish you the best. I wish you healing and happiness and peace and joy. Take care. Till next time. Please like, share, all that sort of stuff. And I'm trying to, where do I hit stop? Stop.